I mean, come on, let's talk about these their locations. I mean, you know, on top of a massive tower block.
Yeah, on top of the tower block, I did the Zulu piece. We go down to the train tracks and paint down there. But also, what I would say, I really, really want to say is for any young people, young graffiti artists watching, please don't do that. Like, I was lucky not to have been killed. Several times I could have been killed. I mean, the standout things there was the Jap 2 and the Drone 2, the Shoffing Rocks. That for me, that was the masterpiece, because that was, I mean, that was the standard of the Chrome Angels, but it was done illegally.
You know, Mo1's work down in Woolwich, his characters as well were like unbelievable. I mean, they was like blowing me away.
Yeah, I mean, Mo1, is there anything that guy's bad at? It's amazing. Great tags, great characters, great skill, great lettering. I mean, he had the whole arsenal of stuff. Like came out, and Henry Chalfont was really into Chrome Angels. And the great thing about that was, this was one aspect of hip hop where the Americans couldn't compete with us. And that was the song on one deck. Tony was still doing the pitch control on the other deck, and Joe was looking through this card filing system to select the next song. So we were like a three-headed mix machine, me, Joe and Tony.
Val, big up to Val, yeah.
In a sense, Val did the most intelligent thing, because he came into Starlight Rockers because he was like the rare groove man. Well, I've written a list of, like, what if someone wants to sort of imagine what Starlight Rockers was about. I think these are some of the records that I thought were really good. I'll give you some photos. We'll take some pictures at the end, and you can.
I'll insert them. So anyone watching, I'm going to insert loads of photographs at the end of DJ.
So data. There's meant to be me DJing. The road sign says Manport Road, because that's where I live.
Faders were another wicked crew, innit? I mean, Dunster with his breaks.
Dunster had a sort of mercurial talent. He was amazing. And also Laurel, he was like the British Rakim. He should have
another one that was setting the boundaries. You know, Merlin was a wicked MC.
Yeah, Merlin, he really had the charisma, and he could really sort of hold it and sort of rap slowly, and people would dwell on the words. And Tony Reardon, Val Mason, and Chris Robinson, just thank you for changing my life. Just thank you for giving me a music education that I never would have got if it wasn't for you guys.
So take it easy, Daddy-o. Things are not that bad, Dio. Instead of getting mad, hey yo.
On this week's show, we have someone who was putting his name up on the walls of Southeast London in the early 80s, who was the first to do tracksides in the local area, as well as putting up pieces on top of huge tower blocks that could be seen for miles, who really caught the fever when it comes to graph and hip hop. I'm excited to say we have the one and only from the StarLight Rockers crew, aka Starlight Assault Squad. We have the one and the only Data 27 in the bag.
Hi there, bro. It's
yes,
lovely to be here, Steve. It's great to be here.
Woo!
Fantastic. Thank you for being here. It's really great. It's great to be here, Steve. But the only problem is, I think I might have been followed by someone. There's this creepy guy, and he's always, I can never seem to shake him off. And I think I see him earlier, and I think he's lurking around here somewhere. But if he comes anywhere, then I'm out. Oh no, he's here.
Listen,
I'm getting out.
Let me pause it.
It's MC Wico is here. MC Wico's here. I'm out. Hold
on. One sec. Okay. Oh, Seb, man. What MC Wico? Wow.
Oh, God, I can't stand that guy. He's always following me around. I can't shake him off.
Well, we got rid of him out of the cupboard. What we do, anyone watching this, I'm going to put at the end of this interview what MC Wico had to say, which will blow you away. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But MC Wico, big up to him as well.
Yeah.
But Seb, listen, it's an honour to have you in the back of the cab, and we're going to run deep into your history, as you was like the first person to do a trackside in Southeast London, in our local area, as well as, rooftops and all sorts. You really caught the fever for graph. So, can you tell me, like, basically, where are you from, and what was it like growing up, as a kid?
Oh yeah, well, I was from like Woolwich, Plumstead Common, very quite boring, out of the way place, Woolwich and Plumstead Common, and I went to school in Bexley Heath, and so because I went to school in Bexley Heath, but I was from Woolwich, and there was a difference, I think, because lots of the people were more local from Bexley Heath, and I was more Woolwich, and so I don't know. Maybe I was a little bit of an odd one out at school. I'm lucky I didn't get bullied more, considering I'm a bit of an idiot sometimes. And
how would you say? How did you get the hip hop bug? I mean, was it like certain tracks that you listened to? Was it like You know, how did you hear about hip hop back in the day?
Oh yeah, well, it was my friend Darren Bill. He went to Woolwich Poly, and graffiti was just exciting. Subway art had just come out. I was always interested in art and stuff like that. And with hip hop, there was a whole ensemble. It wasn't just music. There was the graffiti, the breakdancing, the hip hop. It was something that had a whole grand scheme to it. Electro 1 was the beginning of loads of stuff, and Subway Art obviously for graffiti. And in St Columba's I thought, oh, right, okay, I'm going to set up a graffiti crew called the Complex Dimension. And Complex Dimension is still a great name for a graffiti crew now.
I love that. Yeah. It was in Complex Dimension.
Alex Antonio. I think Alex writes Shiner. He still writes even now. He's a great guy. I met him a few years ago. And very sadly, a guy called Paul Taylor, who died gas sniffing, but he was a really lovely guy.
I remember Paul.
Lovely guy. He was he was a really nice bloke.
Yeah, he was a wicked artist, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really good. He wrote some great stuff. And the strange thing with sort of graffiti and breakdancing is that there was lots of, you could be provincial and be really good as well. You didn't have to be from the centre of London. And so like you had the Barbarian Warriors, they were from like Abbey Wood, they were great. Martin Robinson and all of that crowd.
And Otis and all them, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Otis really well, and David Ray was great.
Breaker Ray, yeah.
Breaker Ray was amazing, and yeah, he was like their sort of star. He was amazing. Simon House and Flex, I remember them. Flex was a good graffiti artist as well.
Yeah.
And
Malcolm Jeffries.
Yeah.
You remember Walkforce as well? Obviously, Walkforce was before Barbarian, and Walkforce was obviously Martin Robinson and Otis, and it was a crew from Woolwich.
Right.
They went to my school, Eaglesfield.
I remember Otis really well. I remember Pius, another really nice guy that died gas sniffing. It's really saint. But I remember Pius, he was Otis's friend. Martin Robinson, yeah, he got big into dance and choreography, and Martin Robinson is actually a model for someone doing it in a really good way and taking it forward, sticking with it, getting better and better at it, and professionalising it and monetising it as well. Like, that's something that I was always rubbish at, and Martin Robinson, I think he started up a dance company, and he really sort of professionalised it, and so he thought it through in terms of his whole life scheme, whereas me, I've gone through in my life a series of things where I get manic about something, it means everything in the world to me, I get pretty good at it, and then it's just like whiz pop, and then I sort of throw it all away in quite a childish way sometimes, and so lots of times, about 4 or 5 times in my life, I've sort of got obsessed about something and then just thrown it all away in quite a sort of silly way, and graffiti was maybe one of those things, although I think maybe I'd reached a ceiling of how good I was going to get.
But you was absolutely wicked, in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, you was like, looking at Subway art and all that. Was there certain pieces in Subway art that kind of blew you away? Was there certain artists that were inspiring you?
Oh yeah, well the Subway art stuff I think was great, was Knock, he was great, and obviously Scene. These people now are just going to be sort of like legends totally, but Knock was great, but the whole of Subway art was brilliant. I think I know Kevin, he really liked that Billy piece, that was really influential for him, and obviously I ended up doing graffiti with Martin. I left sort of Complex Dimension to sort of do stuff with Martin, and Martin was better than me. He got his name Days, he was originally called Days, he got from Subway art, and now he's called sort of Easy Aerosols. And Martin is a lovely guy, he lives in Inverness now, and I really hope to see him at some point, some few years ago, but a great guy.
And how did you come up with your name? Data 27. I mean, that's a wicked name.
Well, Data 27. Well, there's just a Letraset typeface called Data, which I liked, and I lived at number 27 Manthorpe Road, and so yeah, that's how it came up. But Data 27. It didn't look so good in the tags. Other people had better tags than me. It's hard to do a good tag for the word data, but it sounds good anyway. But so I was doing graffiti with Martin. At one point, I sort of challenged Martin to a battle, which was because I thought, no, that will really push me to do the best I can. I thought I had good ideas, but he was better technically than me, and but what I tended to do was I tended to overcompensate by doing graffiti in just basically locations.
100%. I mean, come on, let's talk about these locations. I mean, on top of a massive tower block.
Yeah, on top of the tower block, I did the Zulu piece with Mark.
Zulu,
I've got a photograph of it. You can take a picture of it later on. Yeah, that was crazy.
When was that? That would have been what? Like,
I remember the Olympics was on, because I'd always made the excuse that I was staying up late to watch the Olympics, and then once my parents went to bed, I'd sneak out, and it was summer, it was so warm, it was lovely. I would go down to the train tracks and paint down there. But also, what I would say, I really, really want to say is for any young people, young graffiti artists watching, please don't do that. Like, I was lucky not to have been killed. Several times I could have been killed. I heard a few years ago that there were 3 young graffiti artists around Loughborough Junction near Brixton, and they got killed on the train tracks. And these are young kids, so they've got sharp ears, they're fast at running, and still they got killed. And when I was doing that train side thing, I did a Data and Enrage, and I did some other abstract shape down there. When I did that, it was a lovely sort of balmy summer evening. I'm doing this painting. I thought, oh, this is great. And a train could just arrive like that. You don't realise that trains go much, much faster at night, and they'll thunder through because they haven't got any signals to stop at. And so it's totally silent, and the next second, a train is going past at 100 miles an hour, and you will be killed if you mess around. And like, so I just say to all you young kids, please don't be stupid as I was stupid. There's places you can do it safely now, and just
and also not just the trains. You've got all the electric around you as well. You know, one slip or fall, and that's it. You're gone. Yeah,
I mean, like I was so lucky I wasn't killed, and what if that had happened? There's so many things that wouldn't be around today. So I just urge young people, don't play on train tracks. It's really idiotic, and that's me saying it. But yeah, I did the Data piece in between Woolwich and Plumstead, Data 27.
And you was the first to do the trackside, weren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I mean, I think I was. I mean, it's really flattering when someone like Aztec says that I was an influence, but I think I was sort of more early than good. Obviously, the next generation, they took graffiti so far. The next generation are technically better. Like my generation, we were still in this sort of urban, sort of vandal sort of aesthetic, whereas the next generation, they took on all sort of political stuff that was more subtle. And lots of people say, oh, it was better in the good old days, but there was the next generation of graffiti artists that were great. I mean, not just the Chrome Angels, but the people now, graffitis now have got a political dimension that's much more mature.
Well, and also like the spray paint's evolved as well. I mean, back in the day, what was you using, like car plan? And...
I couldn't really afford buntlack sort of thing. So I mean, obviously everyone goes through their phase of buntlack, purple and pink, because they just the Chrome Angels.
The lilacs.
It looks so great. Yeah, and so everyone just copied that. And then I remember when we sort of someone said, oh, I saw the Chrome Angels, they were holding the cans upside down to get the little sort of stringy lines. I was like, oh right, we can do that. That was brilliant. I mean,
and Mo 1 as well, he was wicked at mixing the paints, and Mo 2 was the wicked at the character.
He was like, Chrome Angels were great. And this is one of those rare things where in hip-hop often the British acts play second fiddle to the American acts, but with graffiti we were as good. And so with American, because it's so much to do with the accent, with the music, British stuff always was in danger of sounding like sort of imitation American stuff. There's a few people that did it really well, like Blade, because he didn't try to sound like anyone else. I think Caveman's really good.
And obviously London Posse and Demon Boys.
Yeah, and Merlin. I mean, the thing is, there's whole areas I'm totally ignorant about, and other things that I know in a lot of detail. And this is why what you're doing is so important, because you're sort of tying together all these different stories. And
And tell me about the Zulu piece on top of this tower block. I mean, what was you like a one-man army? Was you did you go up there and basically do the rooftop?
No, I went. This tower block had all scaffolding around it, so I went up there and I saw that there was a window that could open in the lobby. So that night, me and Mark, we went up there. We went to Winds Common before. First of all, we shook up all the cans really a lot because we knew we couldn't shake them up there, and we tiptoed out. We climbed through the window. We went up. We did the piece and went back. And with loads of my pieces, I always meant to go back and do them and finish them and make them a bit better afterwards. But you never do. When you leave it, you never really go back and finish it off.
But that piece that stood out for miles. You could see it from like Alexandra Palace. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was. I mean,
what other early pieces was you doing? How about the one with Scooby Doo?
Oh yeah, the complex piece down by Plumstead. Yeah, Kevin remembered that, and I didn't remember it. Yeah, and Aztec. Yeah, and the style and the art piece of Plumstead Common. I sort of regret doing them now because that was a lovely wall, lovely brickwork. Now, because now I'm into architecture, I think, those pieces weren't that good considering. I mean, what was crazy about them was the location and the place, and so like I sort of managed to sort of make a name for myself doing that. But I think those pieces weren't that good technically, but I mean I don't know, like with Martin we managed to find a few places we could do it legally, and we did some better stuff then that is technically as artwork.
And tell me, you know, Seb, tell me about, you know, the importance of the South East London bus scene. I mean, the buses in South East London got obliterated, destroyed, and you know, there were so many tags on the buses that you could hardly see out the windows. I mean, you know, it was like wearing a pair of shades on the bus. It was like, it wasn't really letting any light through, was it?
Yeah, I remember, the people that used to tag a lot. I did some tagging on buses, which I sort of regret as well now a bit, but yeah, people had great tags. There was Epic, Mad Mission, people like that. Bus Boys, I think. Or,
Bus Boys, Bus Boys are wicked.
But there was lots of that, but I wasn't so much on the tagging side. Like there's because with graffiti there's so many different genres, same with DJing, there's different stuff, and so I did and so I was more interested in sort of ideas and sort of bit crazy ideas, and I thought that because other people were technically better than me, I had to sort of outthink them in other ways, because like say Martin was much better at the can control and the technical skill of it than I was. I was a bit sort of clumsy, and I tried to be better, but Martin was better than me with that. But
and there was some wicked, you know, places around like South East London, some really wicked kind of Hall of Fames. I mean, one of the ones I used to love going to was in Woolwich, the Woolwich Hall of Fame by the by the Thames there. I mean, that was one place you go in there, was like sometimes there was security down there with massive dogs. And you'd have to like run out of there to get, otherwise you get like chased out by like big massive Alsatians and like Rottweilers.
Oh yeah, it was right. That would probably all be yuppie flats by now. But
it is.
I mean, the standout things there was the Jap 2 and the Drome 2, the Shoffing Rocks. That for me, that was the masterpiece, because that was. I mean, that was the standard of the Chrome Angels, but it was done illegally as well. So it was just bad, and it was like.
And how huge was that piece? I mean, you could see that from like. From outer space. The thing was massive, wasn't it?
Yeah, but crucially you could see it from the top of a bus as well, because there's a big wall, but still you could see it from the top of the bus, and that was just, I mean, whatever these people are doing with their lives now, they probably thought everyone's forgotten about it. It's just a thing they did when they were young, but still respect. I mean, like...
But that Tough Arts piece by Drome 2Cs and Scarf and all them, Cash and all them Tough Arts were wicked, you know. I mean, they had styles for miles, and Drome 2's characters were like... on another level.
And Dread as well, he was good.
Obviously Mo One, big shout out to Mo One, by the way. We've got to give a massive shout out to Mo One. And you know, Mo One's work down in Woolwich, his characters as well were like unbelievable. I mean, they was like blowing me away.
I mean, Mo One, is there anything that guy's bad at? Like he was a brilliant breakdancer, he was a brilliant DJ, like you could give him a tight, you say, hey, just try juggling chainsaws, he could do it.
He'll nail it. And Mo One, like I know you'll be watching this. You know I'm coming for you in the cab for an interview.
Ultimate respect. I mean, he's one of these guys that sort of ties everything else together and makes sense of everything else. And I sort of went round his house and we were talking about DJing, and he said, well, practice makes perfect. But I've heard lots of people say practice makes perfect, but when he says it means something. Practice does make perfect. And now I say to my kids, I say practice makes perfect, and I say to them, and that's what Mo One said to me. So if he says it, it's the truth.
But you could tell, you could tell that Mo One wasn't playing around. His characters were on another level. And obviously, tell me as well about the importance of Jap 302 from the London Giants. I mean, Jap 302 was another art. It was on another level.
He was great. I mean, Jap was just amazing. Great tags, great characters, great skill, great lettering. I mean, he had the whole arsenal of stuff. Like he could do it all. I mean, I just hope he's gone on to do really good stuff, because he was just like mercurial talent. Just great.
And also tell me about the importance of, the Trailblazers. I mean, the Trailblazers were another early crew that were putting up some incredible pieces. I mean, big shout out to Mo 2, Pride, Scribbler, Zaki, all Bando, all them guys were like, they was also on a completely another level as well, wasn't it? I mean, totally, the Trailblazers, and then obviously it was Chrome Angels, but they was like unreal, weren't they? I mean, some of the pieces they done, especially around Covent Garden and the Westway, it was like next level stuff.
Totally. I mean, the thing with that was really because when Spray Can Art came out, and Henry Chalfont was really into Chrome Angels, and the great thing about that was this was one aspect of hip hop where the Americans couldn't compete with us. That was whereas the others, we were always like the poor relations to America in so much of the music side of hip hop, but in terms of graffiti, like, great. I didn't know much about them perfectly. I knew sort of Sergeant Goldie. I sort of had and chat with him once briefly, but you know, I didn't really sort of know them that well. When we went to UK Fresh, we had a spare ticket. We went to Covent Garden. We bumped into Mode 2, and we sold him one of the tickets. He was just talking to his friend in French. So, but France has got a great sort of graffiti tradition, so he's probably got a connection there. I don't know. I just met him very briefly once.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get Mode 2 in the cab for an interview sometime next year. So if Mode ever watches this, I can't wait to chat to you. But you know, another iconic legend in my eyes.
Yeah, clever guy. I bet you he's doing something really interesting in art right now. He's a clever guy.
Big time.
Yeah, I bet
yeah.
I bet he's like the graffiti version of Martin Robinson or someone like that.
He's on another level. And tell me about the was there any kind of early hip hop jams you was going to? You went to UK Fresh in that was in '86, wasn't it?
Yeah, UK Fresh. That was 86. The early gigs, I went to the hip hop jam by the GLC on the South Bank.
Oh, you went to that? That was in '85.
Yeah. So I went to that. I saw the Fat Boys at the WAG Club.
That was amazing. So you see the battle between the Fat Boys and Yankee on the beatbox?
Yeah, at the time, I thought the Yankee did really well, but I think the Fat Boys sort of rigged it a bit. I think they had the louder microphones so that Yankee couldn't compete, sort of thing. But which was a bit unfair because also the Fat Boys were rapping and beatboxing, so they were bigging up their beatbox, but Yankee could just do the beatbox on his own. So it was a bit fair. They didn't really give him an equal chance. And
the bass man, he's absolutely, him and Sipo, treble and bass were absolutely light years ahead on the beatbox. Absolutely wicked.
Yeah. And Blade as well. I remember.
And Blade, Blade beatboxing with Merlin, rapping on the buses around South East London. Big up to Blade and Merlin as well.
Yeah, Blade is great. I mean, like I remember some things just so obscure about Blade. I don't think even he's
probably forgot. Yeah,
I remember once me and Blade, we recorded some demo called Hardcore at some guy's house in Bromley around 1987. I recorded Let's Go Get 'Em Boys with him and Master Mix at Rhythm King, and Don't Judge a Book by the Cover at some studio in Chelsea. But the ideas I was bringing to those tracks wasn't really working for them, so I think like I'm not really, I mean, me and Blade, there was never an angry word spoken. We parted friends, and like he's a great guy. I really like Blade. And Blade's life would have been any different if he'd never met me. I think he still would have carried on to make that great music that he's
Blade,
done.
Blade's hungry, man, and whatever he does turns to kind of gold. And he's got so much dedication and passion. And big up to his new channel 05. He's doing absolutely wicked things as well, and he's putting 24/7. He's on this. He's putting so much hard work into this channel. And we'll do, we'll have to try and get you on his channel next year.
Oh, I'd love to meet up with Blade again. If ever Blade wants to do a recording of Don't Worry About It by MC Wico.
Well, we might, you never know, MC Wico might turn up, innit?
Yeah,
for a performance.
Yeah,
and anyone watching, you're going to soon see at the end of this interview who MC Wico is.
Yeah, but I mean, if Blade ever wants to do a duet with MC Wico.
Blade beatboxing and MC Wico MCing.
Or we could do a line each or something. But I don't know. But I just hope Blade's doing well. He was always a great guy. And his drive as well, he was really totally obsessed and really hardworking. And there was one thing when I went round to see him, and he said, I'm working on a bit of music called Chinese Whispers. This is something we'll get onto later on. I said, that's a great title. He said, oh, why'd you say that? And I said, well, because you can get all the vowel sounds and cluster them together, and you don't have to rhyme the consonants at the end. And so then I went away and wrote a song called Chinese Whispers, which he's probably never heard. But I mean, I don't know if Blade ever finished his Chinese Whispers song, but I thought,
we'll find out. Blade, leave a comment, leave a comment below.
Yeah.
I know he'll be watching this at some stage.
But Blade's phrases were great. Phrases like super succeeding. I've never forgotten that. I thought that was great. Or he goes, you're heading straight for the ditch. The way he places it in the verse is really clever.
Yeah, he's genius on the genius lyricist.
Yeah.
Let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Let's get down to Starlight Rockers.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Come on, everyone. Starlight Rockers. I mean, what a crew they were. And they ended up being called, what was it, Starlight Assault Squad?
Starlight Assault Squad, that was sort of later on, but for me it would always be Starlight
Rockers. Me too, yeah. From day one.
That's my Starlight Rockers t-shirt. I'll show you at the end. So
No, bring it out now. Bring it out now.
Okay, I've got my...
So Sebs Data 27 is going to pull out his original Starlight Rockers. What are you going to pull out the t-shirt?
Yeah, well, it's lots of holes sort of things. Can you see that at all? Starlight
Rockers.
Rockers.
A bit closer. Starlight Rockers.
And it's got holes in it now, like it's not fit for...
When was that from, about 85?
I must have screen printed that at Woolwich College in about 80, around then, around 86, 87. And also, oh, well, I mean, there's so much to go through. I've got to get that rewind mix to put in at the end. I'll
try and get on I'll speak to Mo One about sorting that out at the end of this, to put that at the end of the interview, the rewind mix you done. Two records on rewind. So yeah, let's really get down to the nuts and bolts. Let's get down to, let's take it way back into time. Let's talk about the Starlight Rockers, because Starlight Rockers were a crew from Woolwich who were absolutely incredible. I mean, it was such a wicked crew. Can you let's talk about who was in Starlight Rockers? That ended up becoming Starlight Assault Squad.
Yeah, well, before I joined, there was the hardcore of Martin Spears, Tony Reardon, Joel, and also Chris Robinson. So Chris was like the MC that was talking, not rapping MC, just like... He was more like the sort of introducer. Joel was great at the scratching. He was good at popping as well. And Tony was like the technical genius that would hold it all together. So he would get all the... he understood about ohms and resistance and how amps worked and stuff like that. Because it's not like today when a DJ turns up with a memory stick. Then you had to bring the speakers and the amps. And it was a major logistical thing to set up a whole sound system in someone's house or in a hall or something like that.
So Tony was like... He was like the technician.
Yeah. Without him, he was sort of the unsung hero of it, because he had the intelligence to get it all to work technically. But basically I was a bit of a sort of an idiot, a bit of a prat sometimes when I was in Complex Dimension, and when I was talking for Martin days, Easy Aerosols, with every person, I have to say their name and their other name and their crew. But I was making mixtapes in my bedroom, and because I had rubbish decks, I really concentrated on the mixing, and I was really into Mastermind. I thought they were great. I did this mix of Return of Captain Rock with Two Live Crew, What I Like, and Martin had a tape of this, and he was out sort of driving around with Joel and Tony, and they were just driving, and Martin put my tape on, my mixtape on, and Joel said, "Who is that?" He says, "I want him." And Martin said, "He's just some guy that I do graffiti with sometimes." And Joel says, "No." Joel thought it was Richie Rich. He didn't realise it was me. And sort of, it was known that I was a bit of an idiot and I'd say some silly things. But Joel Joel was the first person that I met that sort of showed me what leadership was, and he sort of took a chance on asking me to join Starlight Rockers, even though I was a bit of an idiot and I was younger than all the rest, because he built something that was a musical monster, and Joel was the brain, the leadership that put that all together. Because at one point, when we were mixing, we were mixing What I Like by Two Live Crew with Turn Your Love by Projection, and I was bringing in the song on one deck. Tony was still doing the pitch control on the other deck, and Joe was looking through this card filing system to select the next song. So we were like a three-headed mix machine, me, Joe and Tony, and this is something that lots of modern people will find it hard to get your head around, because hip-hop and soul that we were playing, there's very short records. They weren't 7-minute long house records, they were short records that go on for 4 or 5 minutes, and there's vocals that can clash and things like that. So it's easy to select, but it's hard to play the same records and mix. And so when I turned up at Starlight headquarters around Tony's house, they had a book where they write all their mixes down, and I thought, this is unwieldy, you can't do this in a party situation. And so basically I became a librarian, and in some ways I'm still a librarian now. I got a series of little cards, and I wrote for every record there'd be a card, and on each card it would say what other records it mixes with at what speed. And so this way, Joel could just look through the card, pick out the card for one song and see what it would mix with, and then he would look at the crowd and select. And so it's hard enough to be a DJ and just to be a good selector, but to do that and mix at the same time is impossible. But we had this card system of a filing system, and so we built up this big knowledge moat. And so whenever a new record would come in, we would all mix it with other things. We'd all mix it. There'd be some datum records like Planet Rock, What I Like by Two Live Crew, and there'd be things that we'd mix it with, because that would then tell us all the other records that it would mix with in a similar beat range. And so that meant that we could do live parties and mix. So we could do mixes like what you might get Mastermind doing on record, but we could do it in a party. And so we became like a sort of I got more credit than I sort of really deserved, because I would be doing lots of the mixing, but Joe would be selecting, and Tony would be technically making sure it's all sort of working. And so the three of us worked like a sort of three-headed music monster. Like we could, Joel could select the right songs for the dance, and we could keep it mixing at the same time. And so it would be difficult for other sound systems to copy that. Like if you're a breakbeat DJ and you want to compete against someone else, you just go away and practice. But what if you wanted to compete with a sound system that's got this filing system all on cards? It's a lot of stuff you've got to build up, a lot of knowledge you've got to build up. And so Starlight became sort of local legends for like a couple of years. And I mean, it's a bit sort of tragic really, because like if I think of all the talent we had, and I'm not even mentioning Chris Robinson here, who was just like brilliant talent in so many other ways, but like when I think of all the talent we had in that crew, we was perfectly placed, and DJing then went on to take over the world. The Starlight Rockers, we probably achieved about 5% of what we should have achieved, and that's probably lots of people feel that way. Like when I think of all the sort of mercurial talent we had and all the blazing ideas and stuff like that, we Starlight Rockers should have gone on to rule the world, but how did you get the name, Starlight Rockers as well? I mean, what a wicked name. That was before my time, so that would be Joe's decision. And
well, Joe, I know Joe watches my channel, so Joe, please let me know how you come up with the name Starlight Rockers, because a wicked name.
And we're not even mentioning Val, because
I was going to say Val. Big up to Val. Yeah.
In a sense, Val did the most intelligent thing, because he came into Starlight Rockers because he was like the rare groove man, and that was his speciality, and also he's just such a brilliant authority on music to have around in the crew. And he used Starlight as an apprenticeship to learn his stuff. He became great at mixing, and then he went on to be a great garage DJ. So in a sense, like, he became a more successful DJ, because he at one point Starlight was in a bit of a sort of existential crisis. What are we? Do we play hip hop? Do we play soul? Do we play house music? Like this new house music's coming along, and we were playing early track stuff like No Way Back by Adonis and Fresh by Dum Dum, stuff like that. So we were playing the Chicago track stuff, but we weren't really sure sort of what should we do. Should we mix up with Planet Rock? And so music was really at the mixing point, in the mixing pot back then, and Starlight Rockers were well placed, and we did some great house parties.
I was going to say, I went to a few of the Starlight house parties. They were absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, some of the Starlight parties, they're things of legend now, but yeah, seeing there's nothing that I can show anyone about what it was like.
Tell me about some of them old, them old house parties and old sort of jams, like the Tram Shed, and tell me about all them old jams you put on.
Well, the Tram Shed one didn't really go that well. That was the one where sort of Mafia were on the way up, and sort
Willie's Mafia.
Yeah, Willie's Mafia, Merlin's crowd, and they were the sort of new big thing back then. But back then we were the Tram Shed. I think I was mixing using Mantronic's All in All Mega Mix as a breakbeat, and there was another thing that Derek says he saw me do the rewind mix at the Clock House around 1985. So if I get that recording for you, that will be, I mean, we only did it a couple of times, and once it went wrong, so we never did it again. But that would be a really important mix if I can get you the recording of that. That's something of sort of historical importance.
Got to try and get hold of that. Where, where was you buying your crop from? Where was you record digging? Was you going through records and?
Yeah, well, this is a strange thing, because I was the young little kid sort of joining Starlight, and all the rest were like big men and and they all had jobs and stuff, so they were buying the records. It wasn't until after Starlight Rockers I thought of building up a record collection. So now I've got quite a record collection where I've bought all the stuff that was big for me when I was a kid. But at the time, I didn't have many records, and I was having to sort of borrow theirs. And there was one point where Joel went into a record shop in Lee High Road, and he wanted a record by Public Enemy. It's Public Enemy number 1, the one that's got the going all the way through.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he went in. He went into the record shop. He said, "I'm after this record. It's wicked." And the bloke said, "Well, what does it sound like?" He says, "It's got the same noise going all the way through."
Going,
yeah. No, but can you imagine now? If he went to a shop and he said, "I want a record. It's got the same noise going all the way through," the guy there would say, "Well, that's all the records." It shows how innovative Public Enemy number 1 were, because like so the idea of having this sort of drone thing that sort of
have you got any records with you that kind of like kind of blew you away, that kind of really meant something to you?
Yeah, well, I've written a list of like, what if someone wants to sort of imagine what Starlight Rockers was about. I think these are some of the records that I thought were really good that Starlight played. Turned On To You by the 80s Ladies, Fool's Paradise by Melissa Morgan, that was Joel's tune, and Bring the Beat Back by Steady B, Rebel Without a Pause by Public Enemy. After that, I knew they could never do better than that song. I knew that was their peak, I think. PSK by Schoolie D, which is just the beginning of all gangster rap. It just cut deeper than anything before. PSK filed every previous rap record into like little kids' music, really. Electro One, talk about that in a minute. The first Nucleus album, Jam On Revenge, that's like the prototype for Moon Safari by Air. I think the first Nucleus album was just a masterpiece all the way through. It's one of the greatest albums. It's not really an album of a genre, but I'd urge people to get that first Nucleus album. Can You Feel It by The Original Concept, Turn Your Love by Projection, The Godfather by Spoonie G, Eric B is President, Friends of the Freaks Come Out at Night by Houdini, and Ego Tripping by Ultramagnetic is like an anthem for Starlight, really. MC's Ultra Part 2, Raw by Big Daddy Kane, Jimbrowski by the Jungle Brothers, Roxanne Shante, Have a Nice Day, My Philosophy, BDP. Those are the sort of records that Starlight.
They were kind of like the key tracks being played at the Starlight parties.
Totally, but also if you listen to sort of like Electro One, that is the prototype for all music of the 90s. If you want to understand the 90s, get it Street Sounds Electro 1, because it's got On the Upside by Xena, which was the beginning of all house music. It's got K9 Core, which is the beginning of all gangster rap. It's got Return of Captain Rock, which has got this sort of build and break thing that Fatboy Slim started doing later on. It's got Rapping Over Breakbeats, the West Street Mob, the beginning of all breakbeats. It's got Electro. If you get Electro 1 Street Sounds, that is like the sort of, that will help you understand everything that happened in the next decade. It's so important.
Yeah, I mean, when I bought Electro 1, it was them Electro series were wicked, because basically, you know, buying a 12-inch import back in the day was a lot of money. So to have it all mixed in on one album, was you saved a lot of money, innit? And it was like what Mastermind done on those albums as well was wicked.
Yeah, I mean, Mastermind were a big influence for me. The idea of really thinking about when you flick off the record, you don't just bring it in any old time. You do it so that the vocals work together. That was a brilliant idea. So people. I
interviewed Dave.
Oh yeah.
DJ, from Mastermind. He's absolutely wicked. Big shout out to Dave as well, man.
Ultimately, and Herbie.
And Max as well.
Yeah, what they did with the Smurf as well was brilliant. Their mix with Nucleus and Imperial Brothers was great. Their mix with World Class Wrecking Crew and Needle to the Groove was just brilliant, because they really thought about it. They really listened to the music before they sort of.
Mastermind were inspirational.
Yeah, they should have just gone to America and cleaned up. They were just brilliant.
Can you, going back to the graph as well, actually, Seb, Datos, can you tell me about, you know, the Run the World piece as well? Because that's another piece that kind of, you know, was next level.
It was very big. It was very big.
Where did you do that?
We did one at Green Park Tube Station and another one quite near here in Southwark, just underneath the bridge by London Bridge.
And was it like a commission?
Yeah, Run the World. We just wanted us to do it. They
who was Run the World?
It was Bob Geldof's thing. It later became Live Aid. And so so we did that. We sort of did some Run the World pieces, and they got sort of auctioned off for the charity and stuff like that. And so they were very big, but like you had to do a very big piece in one day. We had all the scaffolding put up and everything, and some of them turned out all right. I mean, it's difficult if you're going to judge something like that. It's hard to do something that's really technically good that's big, and I mean, sort of Chrome Angels managed it. London Giants, South East Vandals, they managed it, and so I mean the Run the World pieces, I don't think they were technically that great. They were big and colourful, but we did the best technical thing we did was this Spa Town Splash thing in Tunbridge Wells. Me and Martin, that was really good. We rocked that. But yeah.
What did that say?
It said Spa Town Splash. It was for Tunbridge Wells, but
have you got any photos of that?
I think so. Yeah, I'll try and I'll give you some photos. We'll take some pictures at the end, and you can.
I'll insert them. So anyone watching, I'm going to insert loads of photographs at the end, as well as I think MC Wico is going to make a guest appearance.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay. Yeah. But but Starlight was just an amazing sort of growing up time for me. Before that, I was just sort of like the really uncool kid that everyone laughed at, and then the next thing I know,
You're cool.
I'm hanging out with Joel, and Chris Robinson, and like I'm just.
You're cool. You're a cool kid.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Can you tell me also about the importance of Covent Garden? I mean, Covent Garden was another place which was absolutely on fire back in the kind of around sort of 83, 84, 85. 86. Covent Garden was a wicked place, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was like a sort of place of pilgrimage for sort of school kids. We'd all sort of go up there, and hopefully you might sort of meet some graffiti artist, or that's where, I mean, Blade says that rappers would meet up there as well. I mean, also you had the London Graphic Centre quite nearby selling bunt lac, so everything was all in one place.
And some of the crews, I mean, big up to Dolby D, London All Stars, and Live to Break, and all these Hulk and all them guys.
Yeah.
There was some incredible crews up there, innit? Like Bboy crews as well.
Well, funny you should mention Dolby D, because StarLight Rockerz, at one point we went to Chrysalis and we had some demos, because we also did some recording, and the guy at Chrysalis said, oh right, well, we'll put you in the studio, we'll get Dolby D to produce it, and we'll see how it goes. And I don't think the rest of them ever got back to Chrysalis on that, but wish we had, because StarLight Rockerz did record some demos. We did some sort of rapping and stuff like that, and so I mean we did some all right stuff. But so I wonder what would have happened if Chrysalis ever really had put us in the studio with Dolby D. But
that would have been amazing. Imagine that.
Yeah, it should have happened really. But I mean, Starlight Rockers, we were more interested in producing ourselves. So the idea of someone else doing it, however good they may be, wouldn't really be the thing. But but I mean, Starlight was great. I really hope to see them all again. So
how come Starlight changed names from StarLight Rockers to Starlight Assault Squad? Any idea?
Oh, that's just something Chris made up at a house party in Plumstead. He said SAS, Starlight Assault Squad, and Joel thought that was really great. So, but I mean, for me, it was always Starlight Rockers. That was just
me too. Me too. Starlight Rockers, the originals.
Yeah.
Can you got the Starlight Rockers? You got another back piece as well, isn't it? Can you show us that back piece?
The jacket.
The camo, yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Listen, check this out, everyone. This is some wicked. When did this go back?
This is about. I wore this for like Crayford Tunnel. So it says Data, Real Bad Style. And
go up close with the camera.
Oh right, sorry.
With the DJ.
So Data, there's meant to be me DJing. The road sign says Manford Road because that's where I lived, and it says Real Bad Style. I don't know if you can get that all.
Yeah.
But it surprisingly hasn't cracked to pieces. But it's okay.
I mean, that is an antique.
That is an antique. It must be 35, 40 years old now. Yeah. God. But so I was quite, when I look at it, I think I was quite good. But but then again, the people, like Kevin Aztec, he's just like in another level now, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's saying it, Aztec's taking it to another level, isn't it?
Yeah.
And big shout out to Aztec. If anyone ain't seen my interview with Aztec, go check it.
Yeah. Because it's really interesting to see like how a proper artist sort of organises their stuff. Yeah, he's a great guy. But I don't know. Apart from that, I don't know. There's tons of other stuff I could go on about, because then, I mean, with Starlight Rockers, we were sort of perfectly placed to sort of take over and dominate and do really well. But the strange thing is, Joel put together this brilliant thing that works really well musically. But what we never had was the manager or the person that could monetize it and so we had something that works musically, and then I sort of did a sort of silly brain fart, and I went off to study industrial design in South Wales, and there was
Woolwich as well, though. I mean, Woolwich, this had the hip hop fever. Woolwich as an area really had the bug. I was also down with a crew called the Sly Faders. I was down with them with Laurel, Martin Dunster, Andy Penny, Mark Lewis, DJ Crypt. Right. I mean, Sly Faders were another wicked crew, innit? I mean, Dunster with his breaks.
Dunster had a sort of mercurial talent. He was amazing, and also Laurel, he was like the British Rakim. He should have recorded it. He had a great enunciation, great rapper. Yeah,
he was a wicked rapper. I'm really gutted that Laurel never like put anything to vinyl.
Yeah, he should have, really, absolutely should have. And I think we played a house party with you guys in Woolwich Estate that time, or something like that. But that was just brilliant.
It was all quite connected.
That was brilliant. Yes, I mean there was a great time for Crews, for Graffiti. There was some great talent and stuff around. It's very sad. I think, how much have I got to show for it? Because all I can do is talk about, it was good. I hope it seemed. It's hard to sort of convey to people now what it was like, because like, for example, like with Blade, when he used to make his own records, now someone watching video will think, oh, so what? Like, I can make a thing on a laptop, put it onto Bandcamp, and I've released a single. What's so big about that? But back then, the idea of making your own thing was really important. It's almost like a sort of Marxist thing. Like, Blade owned the means of production. He made his records. It was a big deal, and it was important. It showed that he was really serious about it. And so it's hard for modern people to sort of look back and see and to get an idea of what it was like. So.
And also Merlin as well. Merlin was another super talent from Woolwich. Big up to Merlin. If anyone ain't seen my Merlin interview, go check that. But Merlin was another one that was setting the boundaries. Merlin was a wicked MC.
Yeah, Merlin, he really had the charisma, and he could really sort of hold it and sort of rap slowly, and people would dwell on the words. And I remember Woolwich Cultural Centre, he ripped that up. He was sort of, in your interview with him, he says, we're all getting on really sort of happy, everyone was really cool with one another. And I think, well, I remember Merlin being a real battling MC. He would take people out sort of rapping. So like, I think, well, yeah, he was friendly in some ways, but he was an MC you wouldn't want to have an MC battle with. But I remember him, Kenny, Total Control Rappers, I remember them, really well. But
so we're moving on a few years forward now. So basically, after StarLight Rockers, I mean, what was you up to then?
I stopped all music, and I started studying architecture obsessively, and I had a really horrible time in South Bank University. When I walked into South Bank, I wanted to be like the greatest architect in the world, and by the time I walked out, I was just relieved to be sort of physically alive and to have a rubbish 2.2 degree to my name, and so now I teach architecture in Brighton, and I try to be the lecturer that I didn't really have. I tell my students they're really good, they can pass, they're going to do well. And so after I left college, I finally got out of college in about 1994, and it was like leaving prison. And so then I set up a band, a sort of punk band like the Pixies or the Fall, and we were called Dum Dum. And then I made this double album, and this album has only ever sold one copy, and that was like. But that was like a big dream for me. We were just like electrifying. That was like all of the fires of youth. We were just like a very loud, punky, screamy band. So then what I did was, all of my music, by the way, I've got a Bandcamp thing, and it's all free. People can just download my music for free. But
what's the Bandcamp?
It says Sebastian Handley Bandcamp, and it's just got all of the music I've ever recorded is there. And so just download it for free. And so then I played bass in an album called By the Dirge, and this was another band I was in with a really good singer, Kylie Gaskin. And it's a great album, it's got really good energy. And the last song, What Humans Do, is a brilliant song. So just download that from my website for free. So then comes the great thing and the great sort of disappointment for my musical life. Then came Queen of Hearts by the Chandeliers, and the Chandeliers was important to me. I got like my 14 best songs. I had 14 songs because Beatles albums have 14 songs, so I wanted someone to be able to compare this to any Beatles album. And so this was just a great album, and recorded with me and Steve, the drummer, and just no one ever, I couldn't even get someone to, one person reviewed it, a guy called Hedge Dolman, who was really nice. He said, it sounds like all of the bands that you like, but it doesn't sound like any of them. So it sounds a bit like the Pixies or the Fall or the Smiths, but not like any of them. But that album, I worked so hard on these albums. This was my life for years. And then for the second Chandeliers album, the last Chandeliers album, this is so it's me, Miller Gregor, Joe Hoover and Steve Dixon, and the second Chandeliers album is Well, Joe is certain that it's better than the first one. I think it's a close run thing, but this album is more professional. It's called From the Swamp. The first Chandeliers album is called Queen of Hearts. That's got Chinese whispers on, Blade, if you're watching. And so From the Swamp is a great album. I couldn't even get anyone to write a bad review of it. After working in music for about 20 years, giving it everything, no, the BBC's never ever played one of my songs. It's just as well I'm not the bitter type. But yeah, so I'm very sad about sort of because with music. Because I did Graffiti really a lot, and then I dropped it, and then StarLight, and then I dropped it. But with music, I really stuck at it, and I thought, no, I've got to take a stand on something. And I really worked on music for like decades, and it is sad that I never. One day I will have some sort of hit. I'm not sure what sort of hit it will be, but one day I'll have some sort of hit. But no radio stations ever played one of my songs. I can't even get a bad review. I sent my albums off to like. All of the music magazines. No one would even write a bad review of it. So and so that was very difficult to take. And then I've recorded this album called Tascam. Tascam is on vinyl, so it's cut on a lathe. It's not pressed, so there's a guy that can cut albums on lathe. And so this album's got 18 tracks. I've only ever made 9 copies of this album. So there's only 9 copies in the world that exist. And so I took about 4 or 5 of the copies and just gave them to sort of close friends that had record players. And so I said, well, there's only 9 copies of this record here, have a copy, you keep this. And only one person ever got back and said they'd listened to it, and no one ever said to me they thought it was good. But I am actually, I'm much better at songwriting than I ever was at Graffiti, for example. And so I'm very good at failing, basically. So.
No, listen, Seb, you do not foul in life. You have never failed in life. It doesn't mean to say just because you haven't broke, the charts. It doesn't mean to say you're a failure. What you've done, you've loved doing what you've done.
I'd still
it's not. I wouldn't see that as a failure.
Yeah. Well, in the sense of like, if you look at Banksy, like he monetized it. Like, there's lots of artists that I think Aztec would be a better graffiti artist than Banksy, but Banksy worked out how to monetize it. That's what I failed at.
And he's also got the PR team around him as well. Yeah,
totally, yeah. Then I got into furniture design, got really good at that. I just designed this amazing chair, sent it off to DZine Awards, didn't even get in the long list because so I don't know. I've also written a couple of books I've just finished writing a book that I've been working on for about 5 or 6 years about this Prussian philosopher called Immanuel Kant, and that so far sold about 5 copies. Who knows? Maybe it won't be a flop like all the others, but I don't know. I just think to myself, earlier when I was going through that list of all Starlight Rockers records. Now, if I was to turn on Radio 2 now, which is the biggest radio station in Britain, I'm not listening to those records. I'm listening to a millionaire play records by other millionaires. So if I switch on Radio 2, I'm listening to some like Ken Boothe or Steve Wright in the afternoon, nice enough guys, and they're playing passable soul music by people like Mick Hucknall or George Michael or someone like that. But I'm not hearing those Starlight records, and
that is the importance of the pirate radio back in the day, as well as a lot of these digital channels now, because they're playing the music that isn't for the massive. They're playing the underground stuff, that's not being played on commercial channels.
I mean, this is exactly why, Steve, what you're doing is so important, because like for years I think I was in the best band in the world, just rotting my life away at architecture offices doing coping stone details and door details and stuff like that. And the thing is, if I'm making the best music in the world, but DJs are not playing the best music in the world, if only one of us are doing our job, there's not going to be any progress. You've got to, but back when the Beatles were great, you'd have people like John Peel that would go out and find the best music and play it. And this is why what you're doing is important, because you're in doing an investigation. You're going back through history and thinking, well, what did matter? What didn't matter? What was important? What wasn't important? And so you're you're building up a knowledge web whereby we can cross-check and find out what's any good. Right now, it's like, say there's some young kid growing up and they think, I want to be in the best band in the world. the chances are they're going to rot their lives away in some office job because the BBC is never going to play it. And so that's why it's so important what you're doing. You're cross-checking and you're saying, well, hold on, what was good? Who do you think was good? Who, you know, what was it about? And right now, so if you're a young kid growing up now and you want to be in the best band in the world, the only reason why you would do it instead of doing some business studies course is because it would be just unbearable to go through life and not do it. And that's...
And also being a creative for all generations, whether you're young or old, being creative is something that you get lost in. It's something positive. It's something to keep you away from all the madness that's going on in the world right now. And you know, you're kind of getting lost in creativity. That's why, whether you're doing graph, whether you're doing art, whether you're doing street art, whether you're writing a book, or whether you're you know, creating music, it's something that you're being lost in. It's keeping you away from all that negativity. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I mean, with this book that I wrote about this bloke Immanuel Kant, I mean, I don't want to, because Immanuel Kant is so boring, so I'm not going to go on about it, but basically he's saying that all knowledge and morality is internal based, and because his ideas have taken over the world, it means that we've almost become incapable of talking to one another. And so if you look at Facebook, if you look at Twitter, it feels like an attack. You're looking at a wall of hate, and it feels like an attack because the innermost part of your mind is now like a battleground that people are trying to sort of seize and
destroy you.
And so it's so important. And in my book I say the crucial thing we've got to do is to cross-check, which is why when you got in contact with me, I thought, okay, I'm not the greatest graffiti artist ever or the greatest DJ ever, but it's so important to cross-check and to build up these, well, I think this is good. Steve, what do you think is good? And we cross-check this. And what you're doing is the antidote to this whole mental illness pandemic that's going on, where people feel that their innermost being is attacked by every single, like, if I was to say Donald Trump or COVID, it's impossible to say that now. If I was to say gender or environmentalism, everyone thinks, oh, I'm being attacked straight away. We've become incapable of discussing the simplest things. So these conversations are critical just to keep our sanity. I think so. I really think so.
Time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Seb, what can I say? It's been absolutely amazing chatting to you. And listen, don't go away, anyone, because we've got, I think MC Wico is going to make an appearance, and we're going to be dropping some old photographs at the end of this, with a little slideshow at the end of some old graphs, bits and pieces. But listen, Seb, it's been an absolute honour chatting to you. Big up the Starlight Rockers crew.
Rockers, no
big up Mo One as well. And big up all the Starlight Rockers.
And there were so many great people that I might have forgotten. As soon as this finishes, I'm going to think, oh, there was someone that was so important I forgot to. But basically, Martin Spears, Joel, Tony Reardon, Val Mason, and Chris Robinson, just thank you for changing my life. Just thank you for giving me a music education that I never would have got if it wasn't for you guys.
Big up the Starlight. And I know that Mo One is also working on a little documentary that's kind of hopefully going to be released in the next sort of a year or so, but that's all going to be literally about the Starlight Rockers crew. So I can't wait to see that.
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks, Steve.
But Joe, listen, it's been an honour.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you, I really enjoyed it, thank you. Hey yo, what's up London? My name is MC Wico. I'm back again, and there's lots of problems in the world today, but I came here tonight to say, don't worry about it. Some people get stressed about stuff they get depressed about, which makes them really vex about what they should care less about. Bothering is taxing, so I live by the maxim. There's less heart attacks in, maximum chillaxing. I don't worry about. I don't worry about. I don't worry about. I don't worry about. I do not exert myself, cause I don't want to hurt myself. Why all of the urgency? It's not national emergency. Instead of getting uptight, cool down by 2 Fahrenheit. Drop the chore, do less more, chill real hard tonight. Don't worry about. Don't worry about. Don't worry about. Don't worry about. So take it easy, daddy-o. Things are not that bad, Dio. Instead of getting mad, hey yo, stop being so sad, you know. When things get problematical, don't just get fanatical. Instead of doing that, it's cool to take a stress sabbatical. And don't worry about. Don't worry about. Don't worry about. Don't worry about. Yo, that lyric's going out to the mighty Starlight Rockers. No one can stop us. Mo One and everyone in the world. Okay, and the playing didn't turn out exactly as I anticipated, but I'm not fussed. Allcity Steve's not fussed. We don't worry about it. What's the point? Peace, London. Rock on.